Hi, this is Lisa from Knit Sheep Yarns. I'm coming to you today to give you 10 tips for working with bast fibers. And by bast fibers, I mean non-animal fibers, plant fibers, like cotton and linen. Cotton and linen season are coming up, and there is no reason not to enjoy summer with summer knitting and summer crochet. So the first thing I always hear when people talk to me about using a cotton or linen is, oh, it makes my hands hurt. Well, there's a couple of things you can do to eliminate any kind of hand pain. The first thing is use the appropriate kind of cotton for the thing you're making. I wouldn't use any cotton that feels stiff or heavy in the ball or in the skein for a garment. It might not give you enough drape. There's a whole host of brands that are wonderful for clothing that will give you a really soft hand that'll be comfortable to wear and comfortable to work with. The other thing you can do too is loosen up. Don't tension the yarn, whether you tension with your left hand or your right hand, don't tension the yarn as tightly as you normally would with wool, because wool stretches and cotton does not. So you have a little extra leeway in wool that you will not have in cotton, and that constant tightening and tightening the yarn will of course make your hands hurt. Also, until you get used to how you'll need to tension the cotton or linen, don't knit or crochet for as long as you normally do. Another thing you might want to do, I have notes over here, so I'm going to look over here a couple of times. Give yourself some space. Use a longer needle than you ordinarily would. The stitches in bast fibers will not compress the way wool will. You know how you can squish just a million stitches onto the needle? Well, with cotton or linen, you're not going to be able to do it. The stitches will stand apart. So give yourself some more room. If you're crocheting, you don't have to worry about it as much because you only work one stitch at a time, but knitters will have to, use a longer cable or a longer needle. I would also recommend that you use wood when you're knitting or crocheting with any of the plant fibers. It'll just give you more grip and you won't have stitches kind of slipping around at you. When you want to join a new ball of yarn on, do it at the edges. Just keep track as you go. It'll be much less noticeable than joining in the middle. And when you're weaving in, you might consider duplicate stitching. If you're doing a knitted garment and you absolutely have to join in the middle. And try doing a braided join. Now, if you go to my blog, I have a post about this here with links to weaving in ends using duplicate stitch and using a braided join. Don't bother with ribbing. Another complaint I hear a lot is, oh, this thing stretched and it did not go back into shape. It never will. It's cotton or it's linen. It has no memory and it has no elasticity. So if you are going to do a garment with a ribbed cuff or a ribbed hem, that ribbing is not going to perform the function. It might be a decorative element, but it will not perform the function of bringing in and letting out that fabric. It's going to be whatever size it is, and that's the size it's going to stay. So I would do a different kind of edging. Do a garter stitch edging or some other decorative edging, but don't bother with ribbing. Oh, the balls. What you might want to consider too is when let's say you buy your cotton in a hank or your linen in a hank, put something in the middle and leave it there to stabilize that ball so that when you get to the end, you won't have a tangled mess. Whether you work from the inside normally, and I would also work from the outside rather than trying to work from the inside, because having something in there stabilizing the ball will really make a difference for you. You'll get the most accurate results out of cotton or linen by making the swatch and washing and drying that swatch exactly the way you plan to wash and dry the garment. That'll tell you what the real stitch count is. And the last thing I want to talk about is how to take care of cotton and linen. Always follow the instructions on the ball band, but generally speaking, linen is washable and dryable. Matter of fact, it will get nicer and nicer to wear as you wash and dry it. Cotton, most of the time, is the same story. It's washable and dryable. If your cotton that you have says don't put in a dryer, I wouldn't put in a dryer. But you can always, since you have your swatch anyway, toss your swatch in the washing machine and dryer and see how it reacts. If you measure it ahead of time, before you put it in the dryer, and it's 5 inches wide, and when it comes out, it's still 5 inches wide, you should be golden. Anyway, those are my tips on working in plant fibers. Go forth and enjoy that warm weather knitting. I hope everybody is happy and healthy, and have a great day. Bye.